Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Bischoff, Vice President of Sales for Affordable and PHA at Yardi. Welcome to the first episode of The Shift. Right now, housing authorities have a lot on their plate. There's the day-to-day administrative work, certifications, RFTAs, inspections, rent increase requests, on top of all the compliance and reporting requirements. And through all that, they're still focused on taking care of their residents and participants. With everything going on, there's a growing conversation around how to make that workload more manageable. And that's where things like AI are starting to come into play. Today, I'm joined by our first guest to talk about what they're seeing on the ground, how they're thinking about these changes, and where things might be headed next. Rob, I was just reflecting on our 4-year partnership, and just out of curiosity, what drove your agency to head in Yardi's direction in the first place?
Well, it was out of necessity. We're an agency that's been growing over the decades. We're a local developer of affordable housing, in addition to administering the voucher program and public housing. And our previous system just wasn't keeping pace with the needs of the agency for reporting, for workflow, and just efficiencies. It was kind of a system that was stuck in the early 90s Windows system that just wasn't doing the job for us, that we can have our work completed in an efficient manner. So we were at a point where we said, we have to do something different. We have to make a choice. And we're like, Yardi is our neighbor. They're right here in Santa Barbara. They're a premier software vendor for housing authorities. Let's take a look at them. And, we did an RFP. We went through it all, and lo and behold, Yardi did come out on top of our selection process for our team that was part of that, review of all the proposals. It came out and that said, oh, Yardi is the one for us, with your reporting capabilities for us, strong financial statements, and the way that we can go about creating our reporting to our commission, to our staff. It fit all of our needs and checked off all the boxes. So that's what led us to Yardi.
Yeah.
And
admittedly, we were thrilled about the partnership and being selected. And I think from afar, we've always admired you and your agency. You guys have been innovators, developers, and in a town like Santa Barbara, that's a really impressive thing. And I think on the topic of development, it'd be great just to zoom out for a bit and have you unpack some of the major initiatives or projects that are going on at your agency. Can you highlight some of those?
Yeah, I have quite a bit of work underway right now. We have 4 developments under construction. We have a 48-unit low-income housing tax credit development, large family development on Upper La Cumbre area. We have a 63-unit 100% moderate income development that's just not done as new construction because the funding sources just aren't there. But we were able to pull off a bit of magic and cobble together different sources of funding, tax-exempt bond financing, to put it all together to where we're able to do 100% development, deed restricted for moderate income households. And then we have another one that's a 32-unit adaptive reuse of an old Quality Inn development for people moving from homelessness. And then we just broke ground on another 46-unit development, another low-income housing tax credit development. So we have those underway, and then we still have developments in our pipeline. We took all of our public housing out of the public housing program through Section 18 disposition and the RAD program. We were one of the first agencies across the country to do 100% portfolio conversion and be complete with that back in 2015, 2016. And we did those as straight conversions, recognizing down the road we're going to want to redevelop those, but let's get it out of the public housing rules first. So we did that, and now we're working with HUD for redevelopment approval of those RAD developments. We have our Presidio Springs development right downtown that's 122 senior unit development that was built in the mid-70s, that's fairly low density compared to today's standards. And we plan to add another 220 units in addition to the 122 units that are there. Wow. Because the need is so great. Yeah. And then we have an old former public housing family development, 28 units, that's almost ready to go, that will be able to build. It's going to be a nuke and pave where we take it all down, rebuild from 28 units to 53 units, family units there. And it's in desperate need of redevelopment. The infrastructure is shot as it is, so we need to rebuild it and build a nice community for the residents that will live there. And then we have one other one that we're working on with the local school district, Parma School. We're turning that into Parma Court. That's going to be a low-income housing tax credit development, 30 units that will be rented to school district employees. They have a very difficult time being able to attract and retain their employees because of the lack of affordable housing. And because of the Teacher Housing Act of 2016, we're able to partner with them. We'll be the developer, we'll be the manager of those units when they're complete, and we'll be able to fill those units with school district employees that desperately need the affordable housing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, you guys aren't just innovators of technology and process, but in your programs and your projects and the use of funds, you tailor them to the needs of the community, which is just really neat to see.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're putting a serious dent in the need for affordable housing here. So
yeah,
love it. I'd also love to get your perspective on internally at your agency, what are some of the biggest staffing or operational bottlenecks housing authorities are facing today? And what are teams spending the most time on when it comes to manual work, for example?
Yeah, I think for us, the biggest bottlenecks are just being able to complete the day-to-day work. Like if we're in our finance department, just those workflows of the ongoing typical work that needs to be completed, your bank reconciliations, AP, and being able to efficiently pay all your invoices and not be flooded with paperwork and be buried under mountains of paper invoices. Like, how do we get out of that system and work with the tools that we have available through our software system and be more efficient? Also, just working with our clients that need affordable housing or that are tenants of ours. How can we more effectively serve them? Customer service. That's an area that we need to be more efficient on. Yeah. And that's where I think we can utilize technology better as a public agency. People look at public agencies as this bureaucracy, right, and we don't like to be looked at that. We like to be looked at as more of just a local organization that leans into helping people and helping people as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And as you think about your own operations, which workflows or processes stand out as some of the best candidates for automation, or that can be enhanced through perhaps AI and automation? Are there any that stand out?
Yeah, I think one are just analytics for helping your management team, my management team, look at how are we doing with the work that are we doing the work efficiently? Are we getting our work done in compliance with HUD regulations? And some of those areas can be automated. The dashboards that Yardi has created through compliance manager is already a level up of us being able to just take a peek and say, well, we're falling behind on our annual reviews. We need to look at how we can do that quickly and effectively and not get into compliance problems with HUD. And that's where, the workflow help can automate those processes through the workflow that we have to do with every client that we serve. Why not automate some of those processes so that our staff can work smarter and not harder?
Yes.
That's something I'm looking forward to really leaning into and taking advantage of.
Yeah, I love that. There's obviously a lot of conversation right now around AI. How do you see its role evolving within PHAs over time?
Yeah, so PHAs are being cut to the bone with lack of resources from the federal level for doing the administrative work that we're required to do. And so we don't have a lot of funding coming in, and yet our work level is increasing day after day. The regulations that come down that we have to do something different, and if what I don't want to do is overburden my staff, and yet I can't add more staff, yet I don't want to, I want to take advantage of automation that can relieve some of the pressure that my staff are feeling, like that they're having to take on higher caseloads because we can't afford to hire more case managers. But if we can automate those processes, we can relieve that pressure from our team. One area of concern with, in general, people think, oh, well, AI is going to have a devastating effect on employment for people. And that's somewhere where I'm committed to not reducing my staffing levels. I want to take care of my work family at the housing authority and make sure they're taken care of, not say goodbye to them because, well, we have robots that can do it now. I just want them to have the tools that can relieve that pressure that they're under in getting the work done.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and Yardi shares a very similar philosophy when it comes to AI, and that we're enhancing the human experience and that we're trying to solve the same problems that you're facing,
right?
Just with added efficiencies.
Yeah.
And so a little bit later, I'll be diving into Yardi Virtuoso, sort of our AI theme that lives within our ecosystem, and what some of the problems Virtuoso could help solve. And one of them that comes to mind, I think you and I spoke about this a little earlier, is just an overall customer service problem, right? Too many times PHAs are fielding hundreds of phone calls a day from applicants, from residents, participants, and they've got their everyday caseloads they have to do. And so if most of those calls and most of those questions can be answered by, a chatbot, for example, and that's a trained chatbot, then I think we've offloaded most of that burden from your staff.
Yeah.
And we're not relieving staff of duties, we're just making their lives easier. And so that's how technology, AI, and automation should be.
Absolutely. And if you can do both, right? If you can add the technology and relieve that burden of that staff have on their work time, and yet serve your customer base better, make that experience better for our tenants, our applicants. We have a lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of people calling all the time. What's my status, my wait list status? Most people now, they live off their smartphone or their tablet. And if there's a way that they can connect with a chatbot securely, that they can put in their client number, it can automatically give them that information that they're seeking from the housing authority. And that would relieve our own internal call center, what we call our front desk, our operators that pick up the phone all day long and answer and field the questions. If we can offer another avenue for people to first connect electronically and get their questions answered. People are getting more used to that system of looking online first. I never want to get rid of that human connection with our clients, though. I always would want an avenue for our clients to immediately, like, this isn't working for me, connect me to a human that will talk to me.
Yeah.
And have that capability.
That's an important piece.
Yeah.
Maintaining that human interaction, absolutely. Yeah. How are you starting to think about preparing your teams for that shift? And by shift, I mean incorporating AI and automation into your processes.
We already are little by little. There's the large language models that are out there that are available to people, with whether it's Microsoft's Copilot or Anthropic or ChatGPT, and we're starting to allow our teams to utilize those models more and more. Whether it's being able to proofread your emails before they get sent out to make sure they're grammatically correct, to make sure that you're correctly sending the message that you want to send. I look back at, it's kind of AI is going back to 20 years ago, 20 or 30 years ago, when we first got spell check on our word processors, right? That was a game changer technologically for me, as not the best speller in the world. It would put a red line under this, like, you better check this isn't right. Yeah. And AI goes a whole other level above that of not just checking, but automating things, putting in prompts to say, compare this data and put these two disparate data sources together that have commonality to give me the result that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. It can do that now, and that's important. And whether it's you can just say, like, I need this graph to present to my commission on our financials, and you could just type that in on certain aspects and it'll do it for you. That's what I'm looking for in AI to help my team just, again, be more efficient. And so we're starting to train our teams to use AI cautiously, and it doesn't have to be called AI. People are concerned, like, with artificial intelligence, and that it hallucinates. It doesn't give you the right answer. It's not meant to be 100% on its own. Right. It's meant to be a tool that can make you more efficient, and that's what I want to see us utilize it more. Yeah.
Well, I am pleased to say that through Yardi Virtuoso connectors, you can leverage those LLMs like Claude or ChatGPT securely within your Yardi environment, mm-hmm. and it'll pull data from your Yardi Voyager SQL database and generate those reports that you're looking for, or do that data analysis for you.
That's perfect.
So, at some point in the future, we should take a closer look.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe one or two more questions here as we wrap up. If you had advice for other agencies who are maybe a few steps behind you and starting to dip their toe into exploring AI or prepare their agency for it, what recommendations would you have for them?
I would say, one, train your teams on what is AI, what are the possibilities for your agency, look into what tools are out there, and for Yardi customers that are PHAs, really look into the tools that Yardi has to offer. Like I said, a lot of agencies may not even use, that's not really AI, it's just programming, the compliance manager that Yardi has built to look at workflows and making those quicker. And what you're talking about with Yardi Virtuoso, that'll take it to a whole other level of being able to take advantage of the large language models and just telling it like, yeah, give me this that I need.
Right.
And immediately it's there. Just imagine the hours that used to be spent with, looking at spreadsheets and doing all these weird calculations of VLOOKUPs and XLOOKUPs just to combine the data. And now you can just tell it, like, here,
It's powerful.
combine the data for me,
yeah.
and it'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Any final thoughts on where your agency's headed, what you're most excited about technology-wise in the future, and maybe what the rest of 2026 and 2027 might look like?
Yeah, I think for us, I'm really excited about just leaning into these tools that are available that will relieve the amount of workload that our team has to do currently in just completing our daily work. And I want to make things easier on my team, and have that workplace balance, that they're happy where they work and they're not feeling overly burdened.
Right.
And if these tools can be made to help us relieve that pressure and help our team be happy where they work, let's do it. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to partnering with you on that, and here's to a good rest of the year.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Rob, really appreciate your time today. I know it's valuable.
All right.
And this will wrap episode 1 of The Shift.
All right.
Thank
Good
you, Rob.
talking with you. Yeah.
So building on that conversation, let's talk about how Yardi is supporting The Shift. We're excited to introduce Virtuoso to the industry. Virtuoso guides applicants and residents through everyday processes like applications, certifications, and work orders, whether that's through text, phone, email, or chat. The goal is simple: make it easier to get help and faster to get answers. On the staff side, it's about making day-to-day work more manageable. With employee-facing tools, staff can quickly get guidance on processes, whether it's completing a move-in, adding a vendor, or processing a payable, without having to track down documentation or wait for support. And then there are Virtuoso connectors. Many of us are already using tools like ChatGPT or Claude in our personal lives. This brings that same kind of experience into the workplace, allowing teams to plan, analyze, and get answers directly from their property data. And at the end of the day, it's about reducing backlog, improving turnaround times, and giving your team more space to focus on what matters most. This is exactly what Yardi is focused on and what Virtuoso is built to support. We're looking forward to sharing more soon. Thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of The Shift. We'll see you next time.